hearts as bloody and unforgiving. On this untamed frontier, if you try to save your bacon, you're gonna go home hungry. To win the game, become acquainted with punishment, both in given and given. High Noon is a tactical combat board game set in a fictional turn-of-the-century Wild West universe, where players vie for dominance using various posses of unique characters with deadly variety. Assorted game tiles can be assembled quickly and easily to ensure no theater of war is ever the same. With your battlefield tiles confederated, it's time to take the reins of your posse. Draw from your deck to equip your posse with their unique skills they'll need to get ahead. There are no dice in High Noon. When it comes to victory or defeat, it's all in the cards. Don't forget to loot wherever and whenever you can. Gathering loot from crates around the battlefield will give you a razor-sharp edge. And most importantly, enjoy the spoils of your victory. Pick your posse and be ready for the fight. You might just make it out alive.
And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another High Noon Live. Today, we are going to be answering your questions, Q&A session. So for that, I've got my ride along, Tricky Nick in the house. What's up, buddy?
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Oh, man. Loving life. Fat and happy.
Hey, man, I can't wait to get there. Well, I've been trying to avoid the fat part. but the happy would be nice. Yeah. So guys, if you guys are watching and you want to throw in a question, drop it in to the comment section, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and we will get right into it. And as an example here, check this out. So ladies and gentlemen, Dwight the Man Cenac, I appreciate that, you Facebook user. However, I don't know who you are. And so this is a piece of this. Is if you want to know who you are, you don't want to see that, which you want to see your face, you want to see your name, all that stuff. There should be a link in the video description. Follow that. Basically, you're giving StreamYard permission to use, to basically broadcast your likeness. So go ahead and do that. And then when you leave a
You there, Dwight? I think you froze up a little bit. Dwight.
Oh, that was obnoxious.
There he goes.
That was obnoxious. Right when we launch. Oh, yeah. Man. Oh, man. Okay. We're back, guys. We're back. So I don't know. Okay. So yeah, click the link, give StreamYard permission to use your likeness, and you're ready to go. And forgive me ahead of time. This is kind of my weekend with my kid, and I don't get to see him, but 2 weeks out of the month. So we went to the beach. It was great, but I've got a little sun coma working at me. Mm-hmm. Also, maybe a few hard ciders. So I'm trying to dilute that with some Diet Pepsi.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got going on myself.
Hey,
they're just killing me.
Well, all right, but you know what? Listen, you guys are not tuning in to listen to me talk about the great time I had at the beach. You guys are tuning in, so let's get right to it. So, Nick, you actually arranged this, and you started gathering some questions and whatnot. Did you have any kind of openers or any way you want to go about it?
We can address the elephant in the room right away if you'd like, and then move on to the
other
go ahead.
Ones. I think there's quite a few
Boy over in our Discord, he's pretty vocal, wondering who likes the no-wait shipping. All right, he's saying, do you feel like no-wait shipping was an offer a little misleading, given that the games are sitting on a pallet somewhere, presumably in China? Also, do you have an estimate on how long it'll take for it to arrive to the U.S. and then get sent out to here, assuming the container left already?
All right, so let's take this bit by bit.
Right.
So read the first sentence of that.
He was wondering if you think that the offer of the no wait shipping was a little misleading.
No. Okay. So no. Man. What is I don't know. I don't know. What does that mean? What does that mean? I guess it depends on what you interpret it to be. Like the whole point of it was we were going to ship. Like we're not waiting, we're going to ship. If they mean from fulfillment to end user, it's got to get to the fulfillment center. And in order to get to these things the games don't just fall out of the sky. Like they have to actually get to the fulfillment center in order to ship to you. But there's so many, like we have so many people from all over the world that it's not just one fulfillment center. There's a fulfillment center in the US. There's a fulfillment that handles, as I understand it, handles the US and Canada. I believe it handles South America. Then we have a fulfillment center. We have quite a few fulfillment centers in Europe, in various areas of Europe that, ship out. And then we have fulfillment centers in Asia. Then we have a fulfillment center, I think, in Australia. But it's not ours. It's not our fulfillment center. This is fulfillment centers that partnered with the logistics partner that we went with. So up until we had a logistics partner, which we were very upfront about, we like in our blog post, we explained we're still trying to find that.
He went on to elaborate saying, I assume the games were already sitting in the U.S. in boxes ready for shipping labels to be attached.
Yeah, so that does. I mean, I can't be, dude. I don't know what to tell you, man. I didn't say that. Nobody said that. That was an assumption. I can understand. Like, I feel you for assuming that. But if that's what you were wondering. And Steve, to Steve's credit, he's not. I don't think this is I don't think that this is like what his dedication is hinging on. I think he's in this for the end. So it is what it is. But for people who might have been deciding, actually, there was a message I got from somebody, and they were like, "Well, since you're not shipping right away, I want my money back." And if that was based on your assumption. If you were wondering that, you should have asked. Like, I respond to questions and comments in the comment section. I respond to the messages that come into the private message side. There's, the Facebook group. There's the Discord server. There's all these avenues to ask for if you're going to wonder for any kind of clarification of anything, there's plenty of avenues to get that clarification. I don't personally believe that I alluded to that. And really it makes no sense because you got to think outside of US, man. Like I get a lot of people are in the US, the lion's share of our backers are in the US, but there is still about half of our backers are outside of the US. So how are we, like, if all of the games were stored in a warehouse in the USA, all of the backers outside of the USA would be paying out the nose for their games to get delivered to them because they'd be shipping from the US. And that's not how anybody does it. Every campaign that I've seen so far uses multiple fulfillment centers in multiple countries to get the games out. And we can't, if we had those fulfillment centers, if we had them already, we wouldn't need a partner. We wouldn't need D6 to step in and be our fulfillment partner, which we announced during the campaign. So, I know it's a big disappointment. It certainly is. Look, nobody wants this game in the hands of anybody and in the hands of the world more than me. Okay, I want this game out there. I did not anticipate this. Now, having said that, the games were sitting in our warehouse, in our factory. We actually had them in a container. They're ready to go. But when we got our logistics partner and they got us, all the different locations to send to, they basically were like, okay, break it up into these spots. And it took a long time to arrange that. And I'll get into that in another blog post at some point, but not now. But that was a hair-pulling fiasco. So when that happened, that container went away with this container shortage. Yeah. And it just, here's where we're at. When I initially budgeted the timeline, though, you got to think it takes like 2 weeks to get to the US. So I was anticipating that once we were ready to go, like once the campaign ended, we knew where everything needed to go. Like we see where all our backers are. So we broke it down and so into where they go. So I was anticipating, okay, what's the problem? Just put the stuff on containers and ship it out. It takes 2 weeks to get a container, generally speaking, without this stupid shortage. It generally takes 2 weeks to get a container from Hong Kong to, or wherever, Guangzhou, wherever it's shipping out of. It takes 2 weeks to get from there to the West Coast. And then from there, it takes maybe 2 weeks. Well, it takes about a week to clear customs. And that's worst case scenario. It can generally take like 3 days.
Yep.
And then it takes about a week and a half to 2 weeks if we were to take those units and traverse them across the country to a fulfillment center in the East Coast. That's again worst. Like that's what we were thinking. Worst case scenario. That was our budget of time for the U.S. side. Everybody else, it takes less than that to get to their shores because of geography.
Yeah.
So when I plotted out the shipping time, I was like, yeah, deliver in May. We're going to end this thing in April, at the beginning of April. We'll have a month of April to get everything here and to where it needs to go. And then start shipping it out. The people should be getting it in mid-May. That was my anticipation. And then I was like, worst case scenario, if there are some delays of some kind, normal delays, like some processing issues or whatever. For instance, there was a 2-week delay with D6 communicating with our factory. Again, not something I want to go into right now. Something I will definitely go into in an update. But there was 2 weeks of total radio silence from D6 to our logistics or to our factory. That was the kind of budget that I was working with. I was like, if something like that happens, we're totally fine. It just also happened that this container shortage happened, and I didn't know about it. And so now we're facing what we're facing. And it sucks, but it sucks. Yes. Misleading. No, this is not anything that we could have anticipated. Not that we could have anticipated. Maybe somebody who's go ahead.
On a larger scale, like my family's company is in pyrotechnics, and we are literally the second biggest pyrotechnic company in the U.S. And we shoot all of Texas. I mean, from Texarkana all the way to El Paso, and then some. I mean, we shoot right there in Louisiana as well. But yeah, we're talking 2,000 fireworks show, like professional shows for the 4th of July, and our shipping container from China just gets completely stalled. Talk about freaking out. You got the whole entire state of Texas screaming America at you, and you have nothing to throw up in the air. So we've had to make mad dashes from, I've driven myself all the way to Michigan or Indiana to pick up some product just because we had to shoot something. But yeah, no, I've seen that happen with the shipping logistics. Sometimes it just, heck, sometimes even the port will close down and you're stuck. So it's very unpredictable.
Guys,
but you don't.
Outside of the shipping container problem, customs can, just so you know, anything can happen with a container coming into the United States. From time to time, they do these like random searches of containers.
Yeah.
Customs will do, and they'll just pluck a container off the ship. sometimes they pull 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 10. I don't know. When they do that, that container, whoever owns that container is pretty much guaranteed to have to pay for, okay, because they're basically guaranteed to have to wait for a week to 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks for customs to clear that container. Because then it goes through all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, generally speaking, when containers come through, because thousands of containers come through the ports every single day. So generally, a customs agent will like look at it or manifest and be like, oh, okay, everything seems to be okay, whatever. But if one is pulled randomly, that container is put through a myriad of crazy tests that can take days to weeks to finish. And guess what? The person who has their stuff on that container, they don't own that container generally. They're generally renting that container from the logistics company.
Right.
So, and they're allotted, the company will allot them a certain amount of time. Generally, they'll allot them 1 day, maybe 2 days, to get their stuff off the container and get it back onto the ship. But after that, they have to pay, and they're paying hundreds of dollars a day for however long it takes customs. And they don't care. They don't care that it's customs holding it up. It's customs that's holding the container. They're like, yeah, screw you, man. You're paying for it. It's our container. It's on you to pay. And so people will lose thousands of dollars just waiting for a random container pull. It's bad luck, but it's the cost of doing business. We're not even talking about that. We're just talking about this container shortage. So Jason says, wasn't expecting a week-long shutdown of the Suez Canal. Yeah, look, man, and this is another thing is I wasn't expecting that either, but what we were thinking was, well, who cares? We're going to the West Coast.
Right.
So we're not even using the Suez Canal. We're literally just, I don't know. Let's see. I'm looking at the map here. China's here. California's here. Like we don't have to go all the way over here. We just go zoop and it's right there. We don't need a canal. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, hey, this is great. We don't need to use the Suez Canal, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, unfortunately, that messed my business up with the beer. I have a lot of Stella Artois that's on that shipping container.
on the Ever Given?
Yeah, it's slowed down production quite a bit.
Yeah, and so for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the Suez Canal is its own thing. But the reason why there's a container shortage, which is what's holding us up, is because basically the COVID thing, basically people were importing stuff, which is crazy. This doesn't make a lick of sense, to be honest. But basically everybody was ordering stuff like importing from China and nobody was exporting back. So China gave up all their containers and nobody gave them back. So China doesn't have any containers. So they're trying to manufacture them. And actually, I've been thinking for the last weekend, and then Rad brought it up today, but this is a good time to become a container baron. Just go out there and buy a bunch of containers and send them. And so I'm actually talking with one of my logistics partners about doing that, possibly doing that, just going and buying a bunch of containers. And then, but here's the other problem is it's not just containers because man, I don't need, again, this is getting to the point where it's above my pay grade, but there's also a space shortage on the ships themselves. So even if you could get a container, if you haven't booked a space on a ship, good luck. So this is what we're facing, guys. This is what we're going up against. We've got Alan says truck driver shortage. I guess so. I don't know anything about that, but it makes sense. I mean, this is having a butterfly ripple effect all over the place.
There's a shortage of everything out there right now.
Somebody says high dollar boat companies are on hold right now. Cuz or risen shortage. It's affecting every industry.
Yeah, I know. Now that over here in Houston, like downtown Houston, they've reopened all of Texas now completely 100%. And there's all these mom and pop restaurants that, they've been there for 20, 35 years that they're about to shut down for good because they just can't get any workers. I mean, heck, there's people that just don't want to go back to work yet. I mean, not that has anything to do with high noon.
So look, guys, we're the question was, do I feel like that was a little misleading?
Right.
No, because I had every intention of shipping. We were ready to ship, and that's on my side. But I said this in the update. This is silver lining stuff that I'm about to say. So it is what it is, whatever. But we're gonna get this stuff shipped to you. It's ready to go right now. So as soon and it's like they've put in the reservation. As soon as we're in. Everything is palletized. So all the cases are wrapped up on pallets. They're ready to go. So as soon as a container's free and a ship is free, we're going in and we're shipping out. Everybody else is facing the same delay, but everybody else is also facing another delay, which is they haven't produced their damn games yet.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's
They
true.
haven't produced anything. All these people who have taken millions of dollars from backers, millions, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars from backers, they haven't produced a damn thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna name any names, but I just saw a bunch of posts recently about one that just came out, and there's so many people that are just like, I'm so disappointed. This looks nothing like the Kickstarter. I was like, yeah, because those weren't real. Those were just digital files.
We did everything. You talk about misleading. I went out of my way. I got the factory. I 3D printed my models initially when I had the STL files.
Yeah.
And I printed them up. I 3D printed them and then I painted them, and they look beautiful. But that's not the same as getting whatever the miniatures are going to look like from the factory. What are those going to look like? So what did I do? The moment the factory sent us minis, I sat down and I painted them all over again. This is not what I do. This is not my hobby, but I did it because I wanted to show the backers what the thing would look like out of the factory. When you open the box that you're going to get and you take the mini out, you can keep it the way it is, or you can paint it, and this is what it's going to look like. I have been as transparent and as honest as humanly possible, even when I wasn't sure how things were going to look. I was nervous as heck when I was painting those minis, because I'm like, oh God, please don't look like garbage when I finish, please. But I knew that I had to take a picture and share it because it is what it is. You know, this is what the game is. Either it's got to stand on its own. I didn't hide anything. You know, and a lot of the things that you're going to see in the future are, to some degree, mock-ups, 3D renderings, what have you. But I've put up a ton of the physical assets as up close and personal as I can, so that you can see it, so you don't feel like it's a bait and switch. And what was the reward from that? Is basically a bunch of naysaying and people giving their millions to everybody else who hasn't produced anything. So, you know, people are waiting. You know, even in the big picture, it's still a no wait shipping compared to every other campaign that you are probably on. You are still going to get High Noon light years faster than you will get anything else. It's still going to happen.
I was in a completely different house.
I
was in a completely different city in a different home, and months before our Kickstarter even started, and you and I went all in on a game that, heck, we still haven't even seen that thing. You hardly even got an email update.
That was Hasbro.
Remember, you completely forgot about it.
That was Hasbro, right?
Yeah, it was. You completely forgot about it, and I had to remind you, and you're like, "Oh yeah."
I didn't even have an account when I went to go look at what was the status. They're like, "Oh yeah, you checked out as I finally after a week." By the way, and this is another part of this is customer service. I'm not the best at things, guys. Okay, I am one guy. And Nick, you help a lot. Jason helps. Okay, we do have a great team of volunteers, but that's essentially what we are now. We still do a pretty good job of getting back to people right away. I sent out an inquiry. I couldn't even log in to the Hasbro to check on that order, and I sent in an inquiry it was a week, a week from Hasbro, and I'd sent screenshots and order numbers and all this stuff. It was a week before they came back, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you checked out as a guest, so you don't have an account." I was like, "What?" Anyway. Okay, so we got to move on for this and get to the other questions.
right.
And there's a lot of comments in here, but hang on a second. I want to jump into some of these comments. We got some really good like. There's a lot of people in here commenting, and again, guys, I can't tell who you are. So I guess there was a resin shortage. Okay, got it. It was a resin shortage. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Because I'm short on my resins, so that's going to be wonderful. But again, I don't know who you are, Facebook user. So give permission. Alan says yes. Everyone delayed. Shipped some dice via air and package. Waited a week to get on a plane out of China. Yeah, even air freight. Even air freight is bogged down, man. We can't control this. It is what it is. But come on. Yeah, you can. Can I give a little bit of? Can I just put in a little bit of perspective here? Our ancestors, when they wanted to ship something from one country to another, they waited months and maybe died during transit. Okay, this is a first world problem. All right, let's be grateful that at least we're going to get it. We are going to get it. All right, let's see. Just join the conversation. Pazzo Steve says, just join the conversation. Is the pledge manager up and running? And how do we get to it? No, it's not. It's not up and running. It's done, but it's still going. It's still going through the review. I knew that I was pushing for. That's why I said fingers crossed in the update. I was like, keep your fingers crossed. I want this to be live on Saturday because they say submitting it. Once you submit it for review, it could take up to 2 business days. So I submitted it. I submitted it on Thursday morning, first thing Thursday morning, and that technically would be 2 business days, Thursday and then Friday, and then it would be live on Saturday. But I actually didn't get a response from them until the end of day. And look, that's not a dig at them. These guys, Backer Kit is freaking amazing. They've been incredibly helpful. They answer all of my stupid questions. I asked a lot of stupid questions, and they answered them with a smile on their face. Never made me feel stupid, so that was great. And their platform is amazing. So this is not a dig at them, but they just were not able to get to it. So it's looking, it definitely will be ready to go next week. I don't want to say Monday because I don't know. They set up to 2 business days. Technically, that would mean at this point, that should mean Monday, but I don't know. But as soon as it's ready to go, we're going live. I really want it to be, I wanted to be the beginning of, what are we, May now? Yeah, it's May. I wanted it to be the whole month of May that it was live. So May 1st to May 30, whatever it is. I have to look at my calendar. To May 31st. That's not going to happen. I'll probably still keep it open. I'm just going to keep it for like 4 weeks. But as soon as it's up, if you're a backer, here's to answer the other part of the question. How do you get to it? You're going to get a link. You're going to get an email. We're going to send out our surveys. You're going to get an email if you're a backer, and it's going to be like, hey, time to, get your stuff. And you're going to click a link, and it's going to take you to the pledge manager, and it's going to have your pledge, what you pledged, how much money you got, if there's any credits that you're entitled to, that'll all be there. And you can adjust or check out or whatever. That's how you do it. Facebook user says, can we do a late pledge? Okay, so yes, you can. There are two ways about that. The first way is if you're talking about changing your pledge or adding or subtracting to your pledge, yes, you're gonna have like 4 weeks to do that. As I just said, you're gonna have the whole month of May to figure that out. Outside of that, at the same time that we're launching the Pledge Manager, we're also launching a pre-order store. And
man. I feel like that's a news alert drop on for that one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely gonna blast it out to everybody. So it's essentially the same thing. So you can, if you did not pledge, you can jump on the pre-order. You can get everything there. You're just not going to get the Kickstarter exclusives. You're not going to get the Kickstarter exclusive cards. You're not going to get the poker cards for free. You can still buy them in the pre-order store, but like there were Kickstarter exclusive perks, and you're not going to get them. Now, having just said that, I will absolutely take your money. So if you want to bribe me, if you want to bribe me to get access to the Kickstarter exclusives, just shoot a message to me. Just shoot me a message on the Kickstarter page, and we'll work something out. Alan says there have been several playthroughs and reviews with the actual product. Yeah. Oh yeah. Going back to, yeah, exactly. That was what we pulled 50 units off the production line and sent them out because we wanted people to experience what the produced game was. Because that was the thing I saw was that a lot of people are sending out prototypes. Prototypes are prototypes. They're not the game. You're never going to know what the actual game is going to look like until it comes off the production line of the factory.
Yeah.
So
I mean, how many samples have you gotten, and then you're like, you know what? Change this. You messed up a little bit here.
That's right.
I mean, there's a lot of going back and forth that you just to make sure that it was perfect.
And we actually, I was watching. I watch a lot of the reviews of games, or whatever, and they'll always say, "No, this is the prototype, so it could be different." And I'm like, "Well, then what's the point? Like, what are you commenting on?" Now, if you're commenting on gameplay, okay, that's fine. But then again, like if this is a prototype and it's going to change, then technically the gameplay would change, possibly. So I just didn't want to do that. And again, that's not a dig to people who do. It's just I like to be more like this is what it is. This is what you're going to get. That's just how that's my philosophy. Okay, Jason says we do all have full-time jobs as well. Yeah. So even with our full-time jobs as volunteers, we're still better than Hasbro. All right, you're still better than Hasbro. Alan says, so you planning your next Kickstarter already? No, we're not. So when I mentioned that we will be doing a Kickstarter at some point that's bigger and better than ever, I'm talking about when we do like a new like a massive expansion.
Right.
We've the team and I have talked about this a lot. We don't want to be a Kickstarter gimmick. This is a game to go to retail stores. Dungeons and Dragons doesn't do Kickstarters every time they do, a new edition or a new campaign or whatever. Maybe they should, but they don't because that's not their business model and that's not ours. But when we do have like a really big update, maybe it's a collector's edition, or when we do a new like a massive expansion like the role playing game expansion, or the 3D expansions, whatever. We may do Kickstarters for that, and of course we'll bring in all the old stuff to just fill it up. But that's what it's for. So we're not using Kickstarter as a gimmick. So we're not planning another Kickstarter, but when the time comes for it, we're definitely going to do it. And our objective is to fulfill this to such a degree that when your experience with it is going to make you go, yes, I can't wait. I want to back this thing and I want to tell all my friends about it.
So an unanswered question somebody had asked was, what is the drop off for the ride or die people? Like when would it stop the current everything that's been planned so far compared to what you're saying, the new Kickstarter and everything?
I don't understand.
Like the 3D tiles and things like that. Are those on the ride or die, or will those be involved with another expansion?
Oh, no. Well, I guess if the question is, will the ride or dies get it? Then the answer is yes. So whether or not we do a Kickstarter for anything is irrelevant to the ride or die. You're going to get the thing. If we don't do a Kickstarter for it, we just produce it, you're going to get it. If we do a Kickstarter for it and we produce it, through the Kickstarter, you're going to get it. Right. If you still want to contribute to the campaign, that's awesome. You'll get extras for whatever it is that you're paying for, but you're still going to get whatever that is that we produce for free. That's the whole thing. If it has High Noon on it, you're getting it. That's the deal. All right, I think I've handled all the comments. So are there any, so I know there's questions in the Discord and all that other stuff.
Yes. So Matt Cole, his question is there any way some of us backers can kick a little extra money towards that 500 or so that we were short for unlocking the free posse for all?
Oh man. So this is something that I'm really, really, really torn on, but I have to. We got to draw the line somewhere. So look, the whole thing about every fourth stretch goal, there's a free expansion or a free add-on, a free unlocked add-on. Everything that we did for the Kickstarter, everything we promised for the Kickstarter was for the express purpose of pushing the Kickstarter. So the idea was, if we unlock this thing, then it's going to create momentum to unlock other things, to raise even more money. And we saw that at the very, every time we unlocked something, there was like a little push. But like at the end, last day, right? The last day of the campaign, a couple hours left. Not even a couple hours. There's like 1 hour left in the campaign. We were just sitting like $2,000 below the target, right? We were like at 117.5 or something. And I was aggressively lobbying a retailer to make a pledge that would have put us over. And in the 11th hour, right, in the final hour, they came through, they threw down, and boom, we got $120,000. We triggered Father Franklin, and we triggered that free add-on. And wouldn't you know, in that last half hour, or like whatever it was, all these other pledges started flowing in, and we raised like another, on top of that $2,000, $2,500, we raised another $2,200. So, and it happened like that, and it happened because we unlocked that. So what that says is there were people with money just waiting, just sitting there, thinking, okay, if this unlocks, great, I'm going to throw it down. If it doesn't, whatever, this isn't a thing. The whole point was attracting those people throughout the course of the campaign. Because as we unlock more, there's those people, that's not the only one. There was more of those people sitting out there on the sidelines looking and waiting. They all exist. They're all talking. They're all in the groups. They're all talking about High Noon. They're talking about other games. They're talking about what's worth it, what's not. And they're all sitting on the fence. And we did everything we could afford to do to encourage those people to get off the fence. We did everything we could do. And a lot of our backers did everything they could do. But I'm going to be honest, guys. There was a lot of people that were our backers that didn't do anything. I mean, you gave money, which is awesome. Awesome. You're going to get your pledges for that, right? You're going to get your games for that. You're going to get, if you threw down for metal and money or whatever, you're going to get all the expansions and everything for the money that you put down. So thank you. But there were times where people in Facebook groups of board games were like, hey, I'm thinking about backing a game. I have money. Where should I give it? And there are people who were either our backers or were in our group who just did not occur to them to be like, you should back High Noon. And there were times where I would put out there in the group, I'd be like, hey guys, who wants to help them answer this question? Yeah. What should they back? And the people in our group recommended games that were not High Noon. Like they completely did not even mention High Noon in their recommendations. It's like, do you want these stretch goals unlocked or not? Like, do you want that free add-on or not? What are you doing? Why are you driving traffic away from High Noon somewhere else? And it's like, I understand that there's like some sort of like, there's not. People like to pretend that there's a community. There really isn't. There's not a community. Everybody is competing for the same space. We're all in competition here, guys. So I'm competing. Like there's game creators and developers and publishers that I'm friendly with. I like them. I want them to be successful. But if it's between me and them, if it's a binary option between High Noon and their game, I'm going to choose High Noon every single day because that's my game. And that's what everybody who's backing High Noon should have been doing. And the fact is that's not what everybody did. Everybody did not do that. Some people did, but not a lot of people. Like if you look at the percentage, it was not a big percentage of the backers that really got engaged. And that sucks because the people that were engaged were so engaged. There's this guy in France, and he was reaching out to he mass blasted, email blasted a ton of distributors and retailers all over France. I mean, he CC'd me on his emails. He created a press kit, his own press kit in French to promote to these people. I'm not paying this guy. I'm not paying this. This guy, he just wanted this thing to be successful. Where was that, everybody? Where was that drive? Everybody's asking for the freebies. Everybody wants the free posses and the free add-ons and everybody wants this, but like, where's the passion and the drive to make it possible? We did everything we could to make it affordable, to be able to afford to do that. You know, you look at all these other games. There's a game out there that was nothing but cards. Nothing but cards. It was a deck of cards, and they're charging $40 for it. And they raised $600,000 for a deck of cards. And their stretch goals were somewhere like between $30,000 and $40,000. And for that, they gave one card. It's a Kickstarter exclusive card. It's one card. Let me explain to you how this works. And it's just every $30,000, $40,000, they're throwing another card out there. Like you get one extra card for that. Oh, stretch goal, raise another $30,000. Here's a card. Yeah, here's how this works. Ready? They produce a deck. They create a single deck. Let's say it's 50 cards. And every one of these 50 cards, and if they're giving away one card per stretch goal, that's 50 stretch goals that they've produced. The minimum order quantity is anywhere from 500 to 1,000 decks. A deck like that costs $1. $1. So at most, they're spending $1,000 to mass produce 1,000 decks of these cards, and it gets cheaper and cheaper as it goes.
Right.
So maybe they unlock all 50 stretch goals, right? Or maybe they don't. Who cares? They're out $1,000. They can throw all the other Kickstarter exclusive cards away and just give the ones they're obligated to give at $30,000 increments. They're graping you guys. They are full on graping all of you. And you just do it. You just give it away. You just give it to them. You just reward them with money. You just make it rain. And then you look at me, and you look at High Noon, and you go, well, if they can give that away for free, then why can't you give away your posse with 4 to 5 miniatures and a full deck of cards, 45 cards, and 3 polystyrene sheets and a box that packages it all? Why can't you give that to me for free at $15,000?
I mean, heck, the gold bars and the little chips are probably the same amount it costs them to make that one card.
Dude, the chips, believe you me, oh my God, the chips and tokens, the gold bars and the chips.
Oh, not that. I'm talking about what that comes with each expansion posse.
Oh, yes, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That alone is probably the amount that it costs for the one card that they put out.
Dude. Every posse comes with a deck of cards.
Right.
One card in that deck of cards is the cost of their one card in their entire deck of their. Like, don't start with me. I'm done. I'm done. I gave you guys my all. I made it as affordable as humanly possible. Rad just about lost his beautiful mane trying to make a financial picture that would work, that wouldn't make us go bankrupt. But that's as far as we could go. If you guys really, really wanted it to go farther than that, We needed you to get out there and push this thing. And to those of you who did, thank you. Thank you. Everybody watching this should be thanking you. But for those of you who didn't, this is what happens, okay? Somebody else gets the $650,000 to $13 million, and we don't. And because of that, we don't get to unlock our stretch goals. Sorry. We don't get to give them away for free. We were ready. We were ready to do that. But the push didn't happen. You know, it sucks. It is what it is. So I'm sorry. You know, I really was torn about this. I was thinking, because somebody made a point about it on the Kickstarter campaign. They were like, well, you budgeted it, so surely you should be able to do it. And he wasn't even proposing that if we made the deficit, if somebody else threw down $500, he wasn't even proposing that. He was just saying, hey, look, man, if you budgeted it at this, surely you should be able to do it. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, you know what I probably could do? I could probably kill myself a little bit more. I could probably cut off my finger and figure out a way to sell it in the black market to make this work. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Why not? Because I already did it over here, and the vast majority of you guys didn't go. You didn't push for it, and the global market audience didn't. So, you know, I mean, and look, this comes another thing. I'll take some heat. Clearly, the messaging was off. There's a lot of people out there who are just like, well, I just couldn't see the value. Okay. Those same people, by the way, I watched as they gave their money to the freaking card game. So don't tell me about the value, but obviously their message was better than my message. It is what it is. But I'm sorry. The ship has sailed. The Kickstarter campaign is done. There's no more there's no more of this you know, crazy perks. If you're in the ride or die, okay, if you went all in, and if you go all in the pledge manager, and you stay all in, everything we will produce, you will get. Everything that gets unlocked, you will get for free.
So what you're saying is people that are in a lower tier still have that option.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, it's really easy. It's a drop down. When you the first thing you can do when you log on to the pledge manager is it says, hey, this is what you pledged and this is what you chose. This is how much money you gave and this is what you chose. And do you want to keep that or do you want to switch it? And you can click the drop down and select if you want to bump yours up. And if you bump yours up, then you'll get everything that we produce for free. Now, what I will say is this. We do have, because there's some limitations to the pledge manager. Okay, you heard my passionate speech about this, but there's also a logistics issue. And that is what we promised is so way out there from the realm of what is normal that the pledge manager can't even support it, even if we wanted to do it. So like the pledge manager doesn't have a way to just give you something for anything you want for free at every fourth stretch goal, which we don't have anymore. So, right. So there's that. But I can see how much we raised. So what we're going to do is on our back end, we're going to keep an eye on what we're raising. And if we raise a certain amount of money, the 15,000 increments, in the 15,000 increments, if we reach those, we will still unlock the stretch goals that we plan to unlock, even if those stretch goals don't get their minimum order. Okay, so for what that means is, for those who are watching that don't understand it, the pledge manager allows for stretch goals where we create, like we say, okay, you can unlock this posse, for instance, this expansion, but we need 200 orders. And so all you guys can jump in and throw down. And basically, if we don't reach the 200 orders, then we don't charge you for that order, right? Like you'll get charged for everything else, but you won't get charged for that. So it's kind of risk-free. Like if you want it unlocked, just go ahead and add it. And if we don't unlock it, you don't get charged for it. No harm, no foul. but it's still required that, it's an order-based thing. But what we can also do is we can keep an eye on what our total raise is. So if we reach the amount, like let's say that we need to reach $200,000 to unlock some posse. And let's say that we only got, of the 200 orders on the pledge manager, we only got 50 orders. So we would need 150 more orders to unlock it. But because everybody else is upgrading their pledges, they're all going ride or die, and we raised $200,000 anyway. Well, guess what? Now that posse is unlocked, and all the ride or die people get it for free. So
that was another question that somebody had brought up. Now that we're on this topic, is somebody was asking, well, if I'm ride or die, can I just back up all those expansion posses and then back out at the last minute? Which I'm like, well, no, that's kind of what got us in trouble to begin with.
Yeah.
Unless you want a second copy, I would not recommend just trying to boost numbers. Like, don't back something if you don't want it. And heck, people are selling expansions on eBay left and right and making money. So if you do it in the kindness of your heart to try to help yourself get something a little quicker, that's fine. But don't just do it to bump the ratings.
Certainly don't pledge what you're not willing to spend. And because to Nick's point, that's what happened. It is also not a dig. There was quite a few people in the list of people who their charges didn't go through, had already reached out to me previously, and they said like after the campaign closed, they reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, listen, life hit me, came at me sideways, lost a member of the family, my house burned down, whatever it was. I have to back out. Please forgive me." It's like, of course, dude, like there's nothing to forgive. Life happens. But
I reached out to you at one point.
yeah, you did. Yeah,
things worked out, but
that's just life is what it is. But don't pledge what you don't expect to spend. Right. Yes, you could throw down money and then back out at the last minute, but unless you're certain that everybody else who's in there is in there to stay, there's no guarantee that those things will be unlocked at that point.
Yeah, we're gonna be hosting another live stream whenever we unlock a posse, and then all of a sudden, the last day, everybody backs out, and we don't unlock the posse. Flip a lid.
Cool. Jason says a Kickstarter campaign selling just the train miniatures for Ticket to Ride, not a whole game, just the minis, raised over $300,000.
Wow.
People give it, and look, it's not like there's a psychology to this, which is if there's something there that you want, you're going to get money for it.
Right.
So there are people who saw the trains for Ticket to Ride. And they're like, "Oh, that's awesome." They weren't thinking in their lizard brain, well, they need $300,000. I got to help them get there. They probably, at $300,000, they probably more than made their goal.
Oh,
but
yeah.
These people looking at it, they're going, well, I want that. I want that. And so they do. But how did they hear about it? Right? How did they hear about that campaign to know to go and pledge on it? That's what we're talking about. Word of mouth goes a long way. I shared it in every single one of my blog updates. I put at the very bottom, a little word of mouth goes a long way. Please share this post. And for the most part, it didn't happen. So. All right. So next question? Next question. What do we got?
We got a Joel. He was asking question 1. He's got 3 questions.
Okay. First
one, can you elaborate on the tile sets? I guess he just isn't familiar with the tile set.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So tile sets. So the game has game tiles. The more tiles you have, the bigger the map, or the more ways that you can mix it up. So every expansion posse comes with their own tile, but then we also have planned expansions for tile sets. Now, those expansions did not make it to the Pledge Manager because I did not have the packaging artwork ready to go. So it is what it is. But we will be launching these expansions, and I mentioned them in some blog posts on the Kickstarter page. So One of them is the Timber Heights is a bunch of it's a forest and rivers and campsites and basically nature. It's green, a lot of green. There's some game mechanics that are different in it. You can actually hide in the trees and use the trees as cover. You can get in the water. You can there's actually there's a wolf's den that the plan is that it'll spawn wolves and stuff if you have wolves that you can play with. So it's a lot of tiles, but it's for woods, it's for green forests and things. Then we have Stratford City. Stratford City is basically a big town. The town, like everything's bigger. So the bank is bigger, the jail is bigger, all the stores are bigger. It's cobblestone roads instead of dirt roads. The saloon is a 2-floor saloon. So there's 2 levels to it. There's stairs that goes up and down. There's balconies that you can shoot from. So there's height, there's elevation involved. And then there's the streetcars. So there's a streetcar tile that goes along rails, and you can use that to travel along this big map. You can use it as like a mobile war wagon if you wanted. But that's basically what Stratford City offers. Montero Range, there's two types of Montero Range. There's the mining town itself, which is all snow, so it's like a western town in the snow. And then there's the mines, and so there's that's going to introduce like resource deposits that you can mine for resources that you can use for things. And this is brought in with Muldoon's Miners, which is a posse of miners, and they're a worker placement posse that basically harvests resources to craft into upgrades for their posse.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's going to break in the mechanic of resource management and harvesting resources and combining resources for items and things. So that's what that's going to be. There's a tile set that's all the desert, which really goes in with all the tiles that you're used to seeing with the expansions and the core game and everything. And then there's Selva Rica, which is Mexico, and that's very jungle and Mayan type ruins, Incan ruins and things. And that's gonna probably be released more toward the release of the RPG, because the RPG has a campaign where you're tracking down a character in Selva Rica. So those are the planned expansion tile sets right now. Of those planned expansion tile sets, Stratford City's done and Timber Heights is done. So those should hit the market pretty quick.
Just to stay on that topic, since so we're not bouncing all over the place, Steve Oliver was wondering, is there any redesign artwork planned for existing tiles? Which, let me jump on that first. Like, I mean, I've seen people, there's been maybe 1 or 2 videos that have come in of reviewers that are like, seems basic, but everybody else, they're super impressed with these tiles. I mean, they're like, and look at this thing. This is not cheap. This is really well done. The artwork's there. I think it's key. It's pretty simple for a reason. Like you want to kind of be able to see line of sight. You want to be able to kind of maneuver around a little bit easier. Like adding those designs and different textures to the tiles will make it just hard and strainful on your eyes. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, I don't want to. I wouldn't go that far. There's some. I mean, people like colorful artwork, and
right.
I get that. Frankly, I think people have been spoiled. I mean, if you look at where Dungeons and Dragons started, but I'm an old school gamer, and this is the thing is like I am so not hip to new games, so I'm used to like 2nd edition D&D, advanced D&D, and right. the maps for advanced D&D are nothing. Like it's black and white. It's it's lines and whatever. But then I played 3rd edition, and that's where I stopped, guys. I stopped at 3rd edition. Everything above that, I checked out. So I understand the progression of quality artwork in maps and of the like terrain and what have you. High Noon is not that game. I have given this a lot of thought. I give it a lot of thought every day. Like there's every day that goes by, there's a part of me that stops and goes, well, what do you think about just hiring somebody new to do the maps? There's no plan at this point for me to redo those maps. It's just for a couple of reasons. Hear me out. One, if you don't like the tiles, the whole point of the game is you can use any tile you want. The building tiles, like the starting location tiles, are pretty good. Like,
yeah, they're great.
The tiles that people mostly complain about are like they're not throwaways, but they're the extra stuff. It's like the roads and
right.
The
connectors.
The connectors. So if you don't like the connectors, there are maps. There's art, and this is where I didn't want to cut out so many people in the industry. There are very talented cartographers and artists out there who have content, loads and loads of map content that you can buy for very affordable rates. You can get these terrain tiles and things. They're all compatible. They're all completely compatible with High Noon. That's why I kept it at 1 inch by 1 inch grids. So you could take the buildings, you could take the starting location, you could take all this stuff and just put it on top of these other maps and use it that way. Besides that, to what Nick is saying, I mean, even when people aren't bragging about the quality of the game tiles, it's certainly not a focal point when they're playing the game. After people play this game, they're not talking about the tiles. They're talking about the game. And it's like the minis, right? It's like this whole stupid thing about how people value a game that has minis based on the minis. That just means you have a crappy game. Like if your game cannot stand on its own without the miniatures, or even with like really cheap miniatures, then your game is garbage. Okay, you didn't make a game. You made some excuse to sell miniatures. And that's not what High Noon is. High Noon is a game. You look at like Axis and Allies. Look at the greats. Look at Risk. Look at all these games that like they have really simple miniatures that just get the point across because the point is the game. And that's High Noon. So High Noon isn't about miniatures. It's not about tile sets. It's about playing this game, and that's the focal point. So if an artwork on a tile is gonna kill it for you, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, one game that I've always been skeptical on for the longest time. I mean, for years, I was like, no, that just doesn't interest me because it doesn't pop in my eyes. But it is one of the top selling board games out there is like Settlers of Catan. Like everything about it's very simple and there's really nothing to it. It didn't stick out to me. So shame on me for not giving it a chance to actually play it. Because it is a fantastic game, and but it doesn't take long for you to just be like, you know what, it is what it is, and let's play this.
Yeah, yes, and and so anybody who loves Settlers of Catan, he's not poo-pooing on it.
No, not at all.
It's the point.
It's fantastic.
It's wooden bars and wooden squares and some cardboard. Like that's the game. And I'll tell you, I used to be hooked on Settlers of Catan until I realized it's basically just Monopoly for old people.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's like this is another one of those double standards. This is an insane double standard that people put on High Noon, and they don't put on anything else. When these people would come at me, when these retailers would be like, "Yeah, I just don't see the value in High Noon," and then they would go and throw the same money, actually more money than High Noon was asking. And they would throw it on a card game, a game with a deck of cards and a bloated price tag. Don't come at me talking about value. You don't know what you're talking about. It's okay, and it's okay to say I'm just not into miniature skirmish games. I'm just not into tactical board games. I like card games. That's what I like. Just say that. because that's honest. Don't tell me that the value's not there. It's the same thing with the game tiles. You're going to tell me that High Noon's game tiles don't pass muster when you have all these like super generic games out there that are in the common parlance and making millions of dollars, and you have bought yourself, you've given money yourself at retail price because you're not buying the assets, you're buying the game. That's High Noon. And I'll leave it there because I don't want to argue about this point, because the short answer, now that we've done the long answer, really long answer, the short answer is yes, there's going to be a remastering of the game. There was a remastering already. Like the cards, the characters, the artwork did not look the way it does now in the original version. It was, I mean, you look back, if we compare the way that the characters looked in the old version to what they look now, it's crazy. Like the level of quality is insane. Like the difference is insane. So will there be a remastering at some point? Yeah, sure. Yes. And will we get some celebrity artists to do it? Of course we will. We will pay top dollar for a full reskin of everything. And I say that in love, by the way, to all of my artists out there. Gio, Mikkel, Kalishnikov, you guys, and it's just so I want to make this clear, I'm taking care of my guys. When we get to that point where I'll be using different artists, that's going to be the day that I take all of my original artists out to Mexico and we binge drink on a yacht or something, and I give them a massive bonus for getting us this far. I dance with the ones who brung me. That's another part of this is people like, well, you don't realize that, like, in order to update that artwork, I would have to get a new artist, and these artists have been with me from the very beginning when I had nothing. So they are the ones I'm going to take with me across this finish line. And you're going to have to be cool with that. So there you go.
Okay, back to Joel or Joel. I don't know how to pronounce. I don't know how to know the difference, but back to his number 2 question. I'm going to rearrange it a little bit because I think it's out of order. What exactly is included in the expansion loot deck?
Oh, okay. Well, Joel, you'd know that if you played Tabletopia. So the expansion loot is those are it's new weapons, it's basically new weapons cards, new rations cards, new gear cards. It's all the holsters. It's we got the revival tonic, we've got the we got the gold bars, which Nick loves so much.
Yeah.
We've got
the suit.
No. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
Kickstarter exclusive loot is that, but for the expansion loot,
That's right.
it's you've got the revival tonic, the aromatic bitters, I think the jerky strips are in there, the gold bars, you got the bolt action rifle, the double barrel pistol. I did the revival tonic, yeah. Okay. The double barrel pistol, the revolver rifle, the repeater pistol, the percussion pistol. So a ton of really awesome weapons. These weapons are really cool to get. Everybody loves getting these guns. And then you've got the holsters, which allow you to all sorts of stuff. So you got the quick draw holster, which allows you to use your attack value of your defending card as a counterattack, which is great. There's rifle holsters, which allows you to carry rifles, pistol holsters, which allow you to carry pistols. The masterful holster, which is great if you couple it up with the masterful revolver, because it adds a +1 to all of your attacks. That's devastating, especially if like one of your heroes gets that holster. So let's see. What about the that pretty much covers it. So it's a pretty extensive set of expansion cards. It really adds some serious color to the loot.
the second part of his question might be a little hard to answer because I don't know how much you've got into it, but he wants to know what exactly is included in the Bounty Missions expansion.
Okay, so we haven't really gone into the bounty missions, and actually, again, bounty is not going to be in the Pledge Manager, just because I didn't have the artwork for it. But the way that's going to work is you're going to have a post office board tile, and it's just like the mechanics of the marketplace. Which, if you haven't played the marketplace, you don't know. But basically, anybody can pull bounties from the post office as long as nobody's in the post office. But the moment a player has at least 2 gold worth of characters in the post office, they control it. They control the bounties. Nobody else can get the bounties. And so the bounties are basically little missions that you draw from, and you can complete to get gold or bonuses, loot, all sorts of fun pluses. They're basically little submissions throughout the game. You can loot them. You can loot the bounties off of dead bodies, so you can get other people's bounties. And basically, that's what you do. You complete the bounty, and you get the reward, and then you draw a new bounty after you complete that one.
If I was the governor, I'd just be giving them missions the same as their bounty.
Yeah, well, you can do that. That's the governor for you.
So his number 3 question, I know we talked about this a few times, but there could be new viewers. Is there a possibility for future additional expansions involving, say, aliens, dinosaurs, monsters, or zombies, etc., just to expand the story?
Yeah. So yeah, man. So before we even start telling people about this game, we already had pretty much all that stuff planned. So there's gonna be a genre within High Noon for pretty much everybody. If you like Weird West, if you like sci-fi, there's a sci-fi portion of it. If you like horror, there's a horror side to it. If you like steampunk, if you like fantasy, if you like, whatever, we got it. So High Fever is low-hanging fruit. That's our zombie expansion. And just the way it works is you're going to pick a posse, but you're going to choose the leader of the posse. That's who you get. And so all the other players have their leaders, so their posse. You start in one building, and then you have to basically work together to fight your way out of the town of Purgatory, where these zombies take place. And so the story is that all these rival posses have met at this town of Purgatory to duke it out for whatever. And then in the middle of their gunfight, the dead start rising from the ground, and they start devouring the various posse members, until the leaders all find themselves holed up in this building, and they realize they got to work together if they want to survive. And so the objective is get out of town fighting zombies. But at the same time, you still hate the other players. Yeah. So you're working together, but you're also trying to figure out ways to backstab the other players at the same time. Yeah. So it's a game of, at that point, High Noon becomes not your run-of-the-mill skirmish like it is now, but more of a pseudo cooperative game where at the same time you don't know who to trust because you can't trust anybody. So that's High Fever. We have an alien posse. They're very much like a 1960s kind of aliens, big heads, whatever. If you think Mars Attacks, flying saucers, the game tile's already done.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I've seen that.
Yeah, so there is an alien posse. There's the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They come with their own horses. They're released after we release the mounts. For the steampunk version side, we have a nod to. I'm giving a nod to Wild Wild West. So there's a character who has a mount, which is his little spider legs, and there's also a toy maker who is basically trying to bring his son back to life, and so he puts his son he puts the soul of his son or the heart of his son into this robot, into this golem, and so he has his posse is a bunch of little toys that he sends out and fight. They're really weak, but if they work together, they can be pretty devastating. But at the same time, as he's drawing cards, some of the cards that he's drawing are pieces of the golem. So he can assemble the golem as he's drawing cards. And once the golem is assembled, you can put the golem on the board, and it's just this. It's a massive robot, like if you think of like the Iron Giant, like think Iron Giant, but not that big, but like that's kind of what it would look like. And basically once that guy's on the board, it's not game over, but he's pretty scary. So we got a lot of that. We got the cyborg cowboys, that, they're time traveling cyborg cowboys. We got 2 posses for that.
There may or may not be a time traveling scientist.
Okay, so when the mounts come through, so man, it's funny. I always forget to pull this up every time we have a conversation and it comes up. I'm like, oh, I have this. Like I've got the name. I had the name of the characters, but basically, yes, we have like a Marty McFly, Doc Brown character, and they have like a time machine that looks like a 1980s car. Again, that's to be released when we do the mounts, because I want it to be a puzzle piece. You're going to be putting together this like generic DeLorean. It's going to look really cool. I know it's going to look really cool. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to look like it's going to look like an 80s time traveling car. I don't know what to tell you, like a DeLorean. So yes, we will have that, a time traveling scientist. We're going to have let's see. So actually, I actually have prototypes. I mean, it's just because I'm going to start getting into the game mechanics. But if you can see, we got angels. Okay, because again, Purgatory is the town in Saratoga. It's like this ghost town, literally, in Saratoga, and all the supernatural stuff happens in Purgatory. So we're gonna have angels, we're gonna have demons, and they're cowboys. So we're gonna have supernatural, lots of supernatural stuff. There's a werewolf posse, a vampire posse. There's all sorts of posses that are planned. But every time I talk about these posses, like people like shy away. They're like, "Ew, no, I just like cowboys." What I want. And that's why I want flavor. I want there to be a cowboy flavor. So like you can see even the demon. I mean, it's blurry here, right? Because I can't get the focus. But even the demon has kind of like an outlaw flair to him, right? And like the angel kind of like has like a sheriff kind of look. So there's still going to be, it's still a Western. But you got to let it, and the other part of this is like, these aren't for everybody. So like when people are like, "Oh, you have that, then I don't want High Noon." It's like, no, you don't have to buy that. You don't have to buy that. That's just an expansion posse. You don't have to buy it. You don't need it. You can still enjoy High Noon without it. So yes. So to answer that question, yes, we do have those planned. Was there one I forgot to mention in his list that you might think about?
Yeah, one of them was dinosaurs. I don't. That might be a little.
Yeah. All right. So no, I don't see dinosaurs happening in High Noon. Having said that, Rad,
like a Land of the Lost or something.
Well, Rad and I have been talking about this. Rad had this awesome dream. Rad is my best friend from childhood. So we often have awesome dreams that involve each other. And so he had this really awesome dream that was basically like a post-apocalyptic kind of, we went to this island where these dinosaurs crashed on a spaceship, and they were like, it's a long story, but basically we call them geniusaurs. And so there will be a game. We are working on a game where you basically have to fight these geniusaurs with heavy guns and stuff, and destroy their spaceship. That will exist, just probably not in the universe of High Noon.
There you go. All right, so this one's kind of a biggie. Might take up some time, but Steve Oliver, again, back to him. How much content is likely to be sent out in the first and second waves of Ride or Die members? So basically all the expansions, like how many are going to be produced at the same time and shipped out at the same time, or will it all be just different times randomly?
Yeah, we're gonna when we go into production, once the pledge manager closes, we're gonna know what we're gonna go into production on because the pledge manager will decide it, and so will you because you're gonna see what gets unlocked, and all that stuff is gonna be produced at the same time. Our factory, it's not a problem. Like our factory can produce tons and tons and tons of stuff. Like I think they had I think their number was like 50,000 units of anything a day or some obnoxious thing. So we're gonna close the pledge manager, and then we're gonna go into production on everything that is unlocked at that point, and then we're going to release that. We're gonna ship all that stuff out pretty much all same time. So if you're ride or die, you're definitely going to get the core game. You're going to get, Monko and McCat. You're going to get the Jenkins Brothers. You're going to get the Abernathy Gang. You're going to get the Marketplace expansion. You're going to get the, you're going to get Los Hermanos. You're going to get the Bushwhackers. You're going to get Father Franklin because even though we didn't unlock him, I am going into production on him. And I think right now that's what we got. That's what you're definitely going to get. But I feel almost certain that we're going to unlock the Bandero Blondes and Grizzly Greenwood. And we will most likely unlock the expansion loot as well. And by the way, that's volume 1 of the expansion loot, guys. There's tons of other expansion loot volumes that we're going to be doing, including like sci-fi stuff. Especially as we start introducing more of that stuff in there. So all that stuff will be produced and delivered, barring any other crazy shortages and stuff. We want to get that out in December because we want you guys to have it for Christmas.
Yeah. So Blake Paget kind of this question kind of goes with that one. He's saying for the expansions that didn't get funded, like the Kenzo Envoy, how and when is the plan to for them to be made if they don't make it to the pledge manager, or if they don't make it with the pledge manager?
Well, you mean like
are they funded from the sales of the base game, Kickstarter, etc.?
Yeah, no, they're funded through. At this point, they're funded through the Kickstarter and and you pledging on it and the pledge manager right now. So the only way that I can answer this question with a right now answer is unlock it in the pledge manager. Like just pledge it and unlock it. Outside of that, yeah, it's sales. As we push this stuff through and we become more profitable and we can afford to unlock these things, or not unlock at this point, just go into production on them. As we can afford that, and as the demand requests it, we'll produce it. This is the thing is like,
yeah.
Once we go to retail, guys, it's probably going to take, like, if we don't unlock it now, it's probably going to take a long time because it's not just about making money. It's about gauging the market and seeing what the market actually wants. Right now, you are the market. Right. You are deciding what it is that you want. The moment you put it out to the world to decide, I don't know if you think that that's a bonus or an advantage to you. It's not. It's a disadvantage because we have to then figure out, okay, well, we're getting all these sales, but what do they really want? That takes a lot of market research, especially when we're going to every different, all these different markets. So if it doesn't get unlocked in the pledge manager, I really can't give you an answer on that because there's just no way of knowing.
Right. Please go into more detail about unlocking stretch goals in the pledge manager. That still confuses me. I think we already answered that at the beginning. I just forgot to mark down the time for him on that one.
Yeah. But it's fine. I mean, again, I'll just say the way it works is the item will be in the pledge manager. It'll say what the price is for it. Let's say it's $20. Let's say the expansion is $20. And it'll say, help unlock this expansion. We need, 150 orders. So we need 150 people pledging $20 on that item to unlock it.
So what you're saying is at that point, it won't go necessarily in order like the Kickstarter had them in, but it would be more of like a popularity contest. Whoever, like, I mean, however many, like if you reach that goal for the particular posse.
That's correct. So and this is what I was saying in the beginning is like, so right up front, it's a popularity contest. Right at the front, it's you decide which one you want to unlock. But if we reach an amount that in the timeline of the Kickstarter, that stretch goal was scheduled to be unlocked, even if that stretch goal didn't get the orders, we'll still unlock it because we reached the amount of money required for it.
Nice. Is there a specific posse or posses that you recommend for beginners who have never played before?
Yeah, the lawmen. Definitely start with the lawmen. And if we're playing just the starter game, the lawmen and then the rough riders. Those are probably the easiest posses to play. The lawmen being the easiest. After that, if you're going into expansions, let's say that you're sitting there and you've never played with somebody and you have a bunch of expansions on the board. The lawman's already chosen. Monko and Macat have a lot of hit points to them, so you could choose them. They're easy. They're a bit easier to because there's just two guys. So those two would be the ones.
Bushwhackers.
Yeah. The Bushwhackers are pretty easy. Yeah, that's a good point.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense because the Bushwhackers are the counter to the Rough Riders. So yeah, of course. So yeah, so you got the Lawmen, the Rough Riders, the Bushwhackers, and Monko and Macat. Those are four good beginner posse.
And that is really all the questions that I've been asked so far, unless you have any comments to get to or anything else.
Yeah, actually, well, let me see something here. Let me pull up High Noon. Let me pull up the Kickstarter page really quick and see in the comments section.
Yeah, and also I'll throw this thing out there for those that have made it this far in the stream. We'll definitely post it on Facebook at some point too. But if we can get a registration together and get 16 players, that's 4 groups of 4. Or I'm sorry, yeah. If we can get together a tournament just to give something away, I will give my personal copy to whoever wins in that tournament. I mean, we got to get some people on Tabletopia just to check it out. I mean, we need people to. Yeah, once you play the game, you're gonna start talking to your friends about it. Like, hey, man, you've got to play this.
Yeah, it's you guys that are sitting on the sidelines about the Tabletopia. You're really going to see the value of the game through that. There's not really any other comments on my end on the Kickstarter. There was something I was going to say, but we're going on an hour and a half at this point. So if people don't really have any questions, I think we can call it here. I'll say this though, guys, like. I'm fairly certain. I'm waiting on confirmation right now from BackerKit. I've asked them one question. I just need an answer on that, but I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. And that is basically, I'm pretty sure that I can add backers to the pledge manager manually, even after we launch. And the reason why this is important is because somebody did ask if they could still reach out to retailers that they knew that hadn't pledged. And my answer is, at this point right now is yes. You can just have them reach out to me or get me their email address. And what I can do then is I can manually input them as a retailer. And this is crucial because all of the expansions, all of the games, everything in the pledge manager, there's a retail version of it. There's a wholesale pricing version of it that retailers will have exclusive access to. And when they buy things, it also contributes to unlocking expansions. So it contributes to the fundraise. right? So like I said, if there's like $150,000 we're trying to get to unlock something, every amount of money that a retailer pledges will go towards that. Not just you, also them. Also that public pre-order page, right? So you can also tell your friends about the pre-order page and get them to come down and pledge pre-order, because them pre-ordering is going to help unlock those expansions. The same for the retailers. Anything they do, anything they purchase is going to help unlock expansions. And retailers like to buy in bulk. So retailers, they're a very small fraction. It's a very small percentage of our backers are retailers. Incredibly small. But they genuinely come with a pretty sizable contribution. So consider this like a second shot at driving traffic to the Kickstarter to raise money. Reach out to your local retailers, get them interested, get them intrigued, get them wanting more, and then get their email so that I can put them into the pledge manager and they can, put in some orders. That's all I got. Nick, you there?
Yes. Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I'm deathly sick just before this started, so that's the reason I blocked myself out.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
There's a lot of me putting my head in my hands.
You're fine. All right. Well, I think that's all, guys. If you want, I forgot to put a link in the for the Discord, but you can go on to our Kickstarter page and go into any updates, and you should see, and pretty much any update at the bottom of the update, there should be a little blurb that gives you links to the Facebook page. If you're watching this, if you're not watching this from Facebook, you're watching this from somewhere else, there's a link to the Facebook group. Join it. That's where there's a conversation going on there. If you're watching this from the Facebook group and you're not watching it from YouTube, go ahead and head over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. If you are watching this from YouTube, give this a like, please, because it helps. It helps the algorithm and it helps our channel. So give this video a like if you can. And then also there's a link to the Discord server in the Kickstarter updates. Every update should have a link to the Discord server. And if you're not already on it, you need to. That's really where a lot of the intimate conversations are going on about the game, and also where we schedule some plays with everybody. Now, there's been a lot of people requesting games, and we haven't had a chance to play, and I apologize to you guys for that. We've all been very busy. I've been pretty much dedicating. If I'm not spending time with my son, I was building out the pledge manager. So, the pledge manager's done. I had a great time with my son today.
Speaking I'm going to start. Pledge manager, look how cool that ninja is between our picture.
You like that?
Just saying for those people that haven't voted on that popularity contest yet.
Well, you know what? I haven't. I'm almost ready to put them into the Tabletopia actually to get a play test too.
Oh.
So guys, if you want to play with us, come into the Discord server. Like Jason said, he's running a full-time job. Nick is running a full-time job. These are volunteers. I'm not paying anybody here. So I would, but I can't. I try to pay whatever I can, but nobody's getting paid right now. And this is another thing. There's this other campaign where this guy basically took all the money, and instead of putting it toward production, he paid himself the money.
Yeah, never do that.
Then he went online and he said it. He got drunk and he said it.
Oh no!
And then a publishing company rewarded his terrible behavior by giving him more money to actually produce the game, since he had squandered all the other money. That is not what we're doing here. So all of the money that we've raised so far is in a segregated account that is reserved strictly for production, and that means that I'm not getting paid. Nick's not getting paid. Nobody's getting paid. All right, guys. We all have 9-to-5s. So we try to make ourselves as available as possible to play games with you guys. But there are other people in the Discord group that definitely want to play. So if you want to play, jump in the Discord server. You go to the Creator Join a Game channel, click the link, create a game, and play. Play for free. It's right now. It's available for free on Tabletopia. And probably in a week or so, you'll find that we are also gradually more and more available to play with you guys. But there you go. That's all right. That is it for me. Okay. One Facebook user says, "Can Alan Barton get any more interested?" That is a good question. That guy is a very interested fellow. Let me tell you, he's a incredible supporter of the game. Thank you, Alan. All right, what do you got? Anything else?
I am, usually evenings for me, I'm open for playtesting at least once a week. I've got 3 kids myself, so there's a lot of between being full-time job and daddy, I'll play whenever I can, but usually evenings during the week. Weekends, I prefer to knock it out early. Or no, I guess evenings will work as well. It kind of just depends on the night. But yeah, I'm always available to teach new people. So let me know.
All right. Well, guys, thank you guys for watching. If we didn't get to your questions, if you're watching this now, you're watching this after the fact, and you're like, oh man, I wanted to ask a question. It's fine. There's no wrong time to ask a question. You can drop it in the comment section of the Kickstarter. You can drop it in the Facebook group. You can drop it in the Discord server. Don't drop it here because I probably will not get back to it.
Right.
But go to the Facebook group, join the Facebook group, go to the Discord server, jump on the Kickstarter page, leave a comment or a question or whatever if you missed it here, and we'll absolutely answer it. There's no wrong question. There's really no hate. Okay, no hate for all the passion here. There's no hate. We really appreciate all the support you guys are giving us. And that's it. So without further ado, Nick, thank you. Thanks for putting this together, man. I really
no
appreciate
problem. Just figured
all right,
people
guys.
make a little elaboration.
Yeah, I heard that. All right, everybody. Well, that's it. You guys have a good night, and we will see you in another High Noon Live sometime.